Okay, let's experiment with a new LoRA model for LTX. It's pretty cool because it's able to do in-paint masking for LTX video editing. Basically, there are a few different LoRA files in this Hugging Face repo, few versions of in-paint mask LoRA models, but the one that I really like actually is the in-paint mask V2V model. That's for Reference2Video, where you apply your mask to specific region. For example, check this out. You can mask a region like a car, reference another image of a different car, and then get this result. It's pretty similar to the WAN 2.1 vase we tried last year, or even the WAN 2.2 fun vase that came out later. They have some overlapping features, but this one play difference. So, I'm going to be testing this one. And while I'm at it, I also checked out another LoRA in the same repo that's actually pretty interesting. It's called Anime2 Real. This one does style transfer. It takes anime or cartoon style video and transfers it into a semi-realistic look. You've probably seen a lot of these on social media. Cartoon characters turning into realistic versions of themselves. That's basically what this LoRA can do. Now, I've tried a few things with the LTX mask Reference2Video workflow. For instance, I had this character from a previous video where I used ID LoRA generated the speaking character. And then, here's where it gets fun. I turned that into a zombie using just one reference image, like a Korean-style movie zombie. I swapped the character while keeping the same video footage, and it works.
This initiative cannot wait any longer. We must act. Now.
Sometimes I get bored with just those typical AI girl characters, so I tried swapping them into a medieval setting instead. This image, same video footage. And it turned out like this.
This initiative cannot wait any longer. We must act. Now.
So, yeah. The LTX model with these LoRAs lets you do some pretty wild stuff. Mask editing, object replacement, style transfer, all by using reference images. And as I showed, they actually have a workflow setup in their Hugging Face repo. And personally, I really like the Anime2 Real and the mask Reference2Video in Paint workflows, so those are the ones I'm focusing on in this video. Alright, let's dive into the workflow graph. This one here, the mask Reference2Video in Paint workflow, straight from the Hugging Face repo. It's not your simple one-way input-output thing. It's actually pretty complex, with a lot of configurations. Inside, especially under the segmentations part, the author offers two methods. One uses SAM3 segmentation with captioning, and honestly, I think that's more convenient, especially if you're integrating this into a system pipeline or a server-side app connected to ComfyUI. That way, third-party apps or automated pipelines can easily run it. But if you're just running things locally in ComfyUI, maybe you'd prefer the SAM tool that uses the point editor to manually pinpoint objects. That's not really my preference for building pipelines, though. So I customized this workflow myself, trimmed it down to what I actually need. I don't want to carry around too many extra models just because the example workflow uses them. Anyway, here's what I changed. The sampling steps? Pretty much the same as the original. As you know, LTX uses two-step sampling. First, you run at half resolution, then you upscale in the second pass. That's pretty standardized by now. You use a custom sampler, do your manual segmentation, and you can even swap in your preferred scheduler if you want. Just swap the Segma input, like here. The second pass is basically an upsampler for LTX video. Normally, the first pass runs at low resolution or half the dimensions of your reference video, and the second pass upscales back to the original size. That's just how LTX works. So yeah, we always have two samplers. And this two-step process just gives us better detail in the output. Also, I added an IC LoRA detailer for the upscaler. It helps with refining the output details, but don't set the strength too high. If you go above 0.6, I tested it, and it gets too sharp, especially around the edges of segmented objects. So I stick with around 0.4. That feels like the sweet spot. Back to the model settings, I also edited those because I don't need the load-only diffusion transformer model. I've got my checkpoint models loaded already, it's just my habit. I also added the GGUF quantization model as an option, just in case I need to do quick tests without waiting around. If I want something fast, I can switch that to the Q2 GGUF quantized model in the base model set node. The checkpoint models I usually use are the BF16 dev type. That's what I go for normal inference and LoRA training. So I want those checkpoint models in my local storage for multiple uses. That's why I've got 2 nodes connected in this setup. If you're just using the LTX distillation model or the diffusion model, like in the example, you wouldn't need the distill LoRA connected. But for my setup, it's better this way, more flexible. Next thing I modified was the segmentation part. As I mentioned, I don't need SAM2 since SAM3 is already out there. We can just use a prompt to describe the objects we want to segment, like the woman in the video or the robot walking. That way, I don't need to use the point editor or manual masking. It's just my preference, really. I don't use those manual tools often. So my custom workflow focuses on systematically using segmentation keywords. I put those at the top in the video settings. Let's say you want to mask a robot. You type robot. Then SAM3 handles the masking automatically. Now, talking about the video settings here. This is pretty similar to the default example workflow. The downscale video factor does the same concept as LTX's 2-step sampling. The first pass runs at 50% of the input video dimensions, then the second pass scales back to the full size. But I found something interesting. If you want to upscale even higher, you can set the downscale video factor to 1 and run 2 passes. That still works. Here's the concept. If you set the downscale factor to 1, the first pass runs at full scale. Then, in the second pass, optionally, you can set a video upscale for the control video input. That way, if you want higher resolution, you can use a native upscale node. Like I showed before with LTX, you can set it to 1.5 times upscale. So if your input is 480p and you set the downscale factor to 1, the first pass stays at 480p. Then the second pass, thanks to the 1.5 times upscale, gives you 720p output. Let's try it out. I'm going to use the same input video of this speaking character, and I'll change the reference image. For example, this time I'm using Z-Image Turbo. I'll just use a simple text-to-image prompt, something like that, and generate the image. Then I can copy the clip space or save it to my files folder and replace the input reference object in the workflow. So I put Catwoman here instead. That becomes my new reference object. Another way, if you already have an image you want to use, but the pose is completely off compared to the reference video, sometimes it won't reference nicely in the output. So sometimes I'll use WAN-edit to change the pose first. Like the Korean female zombie I showed earlier. The original image wasn't in the same pose as my reference video, so the masked region didn't line up well. So I used WAN-image-edit to reference the pose from the video's first frame and adjust the zombie to match. That gave me a much more accurate result. It's not always necessary, but it's nice to have, especially because if the reference object doesn't match the mask angle or dimensions, the AI might get confused about what you're trying to do. Remember, this in-paint mask LoRA doesn't use ControlNet to guide motion. It's just an in-paint region, so it's crucial to have similar angles and proportions between your reference object and the masked region in the video. Like in the Catwoman example, or the old lady, I made sure they had similar angles and dimensions to the reference video. That way, you get closer to the expected output. Also, because this is LTX, text prompting is super important. You'll likely need longer prompts than just 1 or 2 sentences. For example, when I prompted for the old lady, I didn't just say old lady. I added full-time outfit, facial expressions, emotions, and what she's doing in the scene. I matched it to how the reference video's office lady talks. And the audio? I referenced the source video's audio input. That influences how the character speaks in the output too. Plus, I added the script for the character to say the same lines as the reference video. That helps control the video output precisely. Okay, so let's try this. I'll use the same keywords as my text-to-image generation, but change the character to Catwoman. And since the motion and environment are similar, I can use the same prompts, just swapping out the character. And while we wait, notice that I had to remove the background of Catwoman, but the ratio stays the same as the reference video. That helps the AI be more accurate in its generation. Okay, so we've swapped the character to Catwoman, but here's something to watch out for. The masking regions. As you can see in both the first and second pass, there's hair popping up that wasn't in the original image. That means you need to adjust the mask from either the reference image or the reference video in that section. And when you do that, you need to be aware of the block mask size. You can adjust the block mask size by changing the numbers in the settings. If you set it higher, like 30 or 40, the block becomes larger and sometimes it might not fit your reference image well. So you might also need to tweak your text prompts to be more specific about the character's appearance. But so far, the clothing and costume are reproduced well from the reference image. I prefer higher resolution outputs for LTX models. So the first pass is 960 by 512. Then the second pass, because of the 1.5 times upscale, gives us 1920 by 1024 pixels. Another example, if you set the block mask size higher, you get more room in the mask. In this case, it even shows more hair because the original footage has curly hair. And here's the full second pass output. Even though we remasked the in-paint area, the hair isn't as accurate as I expected, but overall, the video quality is pretty nice for this character. Then I tried a smaller block mask size. This one shows less hair popping up from the mask region, so maybe setting the block mask to something smaller helps. But since the original character has a large head-to-hair proportion, it might be better to use something with a similar shape, like the old lady example. That way, the hair and character shape look more natural, and the mask region is covered properly. Here's another example with a car. Original footage, a car accelerating and driving down a rainy road in Japan. And yes, this was also AI generated, not stock footage. I used Z-Image Turbo to generate a Mini Cooper, then replaced the object with this new car. I used similar text prompts, but changed the object to Mini Cooper. The motion looks pretty similar to the original. In the first 1 to 2 seconds, the tire spin replicates the motion because I included that in the text prompts. This comparison shows the reference and the generated footage, just like that. But sometimes, in far shots like the last few seconds, a pink box generates another Mini Cooper on the left. There's no ControlNet to guide everything precisely, so it's simulating what the demo page on Hugging Face shows you can do easily with this LoRA. There are a lot of scenarios you can use this for, like educational content where you inpaint your own character. That's one example. Now, the next thing I want to show is the easier way to play with this, the Animate Styles to Have Realism Styles LoRA. This one lets you do video to video without needing extra ControlNet or motion tracking. You just plug in the LoRA model with the LTX workflow and you get results like this. It can also take 2D anime or cartoon footage and turn it into realistic styles. Again, this workflow is in the Hugging Face repo. There's a folder with all the stuff. I'll link it in the video description, but I did modify it. The purpose of this LoRA is to animate 2D anime footage and transfer it to realistic styles. You're keeping the background audio anyway, so I don't think we need that custom audio loading. That's why, in my version of the workflow, I keep it simple. Nowadays, I don't like too much clutter or dangling features. Just keep it neat and tidy for the specific use case. I prefer workflows to be focused tools in a larger system. So yeah, I kept the original reference video's background audio and passed it through. That feels better. And I kept the samplings just like the Hugging Face repo. No problem there. But remember, if you don't have the MOE scheduler like Beta 57 or BondTankNet, you need to download it from the link. Otherwise, you'll only see the top few scheduler options in ComfyUI by default. The runtime here isn't fancy, it's just video-to-video style transfer. And for text prompts, you don't need much. All you need is something like convert video to photorealistic style. That's the purpose of this LoRA. Okay, so here's the output. As you can see, it turns semi-realistic, not fully realistic. You can see the texture kind of looks like that. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. For example, in this shot, fast motions don't fully capture the realistic style, but it's fun to play with these LoRAs. So far, steady close-up shots work really well for style transfer to realistic styles. Alright, that's it for this update. Fun stuff from this Hugging Face repo. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.